At T-Mobile, our critical mission is providing unparalleled 5G coverage for when connectivity is mission critical. Introducing T-Priority, America's best 5G network experience for first responders, even in times of congestion. More capacity, faster speeds, better coverage. T-Priority from T-Mobile, built for tomorrow's emergencies, ready today. Discover more at t-priority.com.
For qualifying organizations on eligible rate plans, coverage not available in some areas and may be impacted by emergencies.
Empower.
Claire is practicing her breathing for her upcoming yoga retreat in Bali. Has she ever done yoga before? No. But Claire worked with Empower on her savings and investment strategy. She got good at money, so she can be a little bad. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Join our 19 million customers today at empower.com.
Past performance is not indicative of future returns. Investing involves risks. You may lose money. Advisory services are provided for a fee by Empower Advisor Group, LLC, EAG, a registered investment advisor with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Om Namaste.
Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts, Professor Chris G, and on the other line with me is my best friend that holds on to my arm just as tight as Grokey. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
You know what? What we do in private isn't anybody else's business.
Don't be painting that picture, Doug.
I'll thank you to not be broadcasting our private sessions to the public. I mean, I just personally feel like there's a line you don't cross, and you crossed a line. Add to that your nickname for me a couple episodes ago that didn't make the air. I think you're on one lately, and I don't appreciate it.
I'm not even trying to make fun of you. You do enough of these damn podcasts because you have to remember, Doug. So I have nicknames. I mean, you had nicknames for me for a long time too, but I have nicknames for you that date all the way back to our wrestling podcast days. And so, and one of these days, things are just gonna get dull. And
we're just gonna hit a wall, and it's gonna be like,
and on the other line with me, he's as gray as the wall is in front of me. It's Dougie Fresh.
You old bastard! You can't see shit anyways.
For real. Oh man. So, we're back, Doug. We're back. So, peek behind the curtain. We took I think 2 weeks off now? It probably has been 2 weeks.
I think that's what it ended up being. Yeah.
Yeah. So we took a 2-week break. We are back. We watched a new episode. But before we get into all of that, and we won't go too in depth because I feel like it's more of actually we'll have more info so we can go out based off of what we know for right now for our Poke Break. But we just watched a trailer for the live action Pokemon series. And for whatever reason, the trailer is not on YouTube, so we could not translate. So we just watched it. And what are your thoughts? Because I have some assumptions about this show.
I mean, you let me go first, so I'm going to steal the obvious thought. I'm not watching it without translation.
Yes, I'm not either.
I can't do that to myself for 45 minutes. I just can't. I mean, we've watched enough episodes and we've been around Pokemon long enough. We kind of got the broad strokes.
Yeah.
But you're not getting, the subtext and,
without,
I mean, you get
oh, sorry.
No, it's just you get a very broad picture, but you don't know like the ins and outs without actually
Google.
Seeing the words or knowing what's been said.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say this. Without looking up the synopsis on this show, this Pokemon show looks like it revolves around a geeky girl who looks like she may have gotten into a really good job, and she's moving into her first apartment, and as she was moving in, looks like she uncovered the original Pokemon Red Game Boy game, and she got excited and she started playing it, and she's come across children, which is kind of creepy a little bit, unless these kids are related to her, which we'll find out in the show. She comes across some kids that are playing the Nintendo Switch versions of the Pokemon game. It looked like the boy could give two shits about Pokemon Red because he's on a Switch and she's on a old black and white Game Boy. Looks like she had a father or a boyfriend that she was linking up with to battle on an old Game Boy, and it looked like the dad or boyfriend could care less about the damn game because she won, and he's like, "Oh, finally, we're done." That's what I got out of his expression after she won in the trailer. It looks like she thinks about her boss in the lines of Giovanni for whatever reason. It looks like she doesn't really like her boss, and the way that she thinks about her boss is like Giovanni, and just like she's making her real life into the video game and kind of portraying it that way, which is kind of what I got. Is that what you got? That's what I got.
That's kind of what I got, obviously without knowing what was said. Because, I gathered just by watching the trailer, there was supposed to be some funny dialogue that obviously didn't come across. And, who among us hasn't, thought about, what if Pokemon were real? So, obviously you can get behind that premise of this girl trying to put herself in that world. But yeah, we'll just kind of have to keep an eye on it in terms of, how quick of a turnaround would it be to get some episodes translated. We'll have to see if the reception is good enough to warrant maybe Netflix or somebody bringing it over, dubbed. I know that's not like a snap of the fingers, decision.
But with it being Pokemon and it being a live action thing, and we're either going to get Americans to play this version of the Pokemon TV show, or we're going to get a dub version, which it seems like at least for the turnaround on Netflix for dubbing, it's really quick and it's done really, really good. And I also think even if they wanted to go the route of AI, they could have that done in the snap of a finger these days. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I know AI was a big sticking point in the writer's strike. So I don't know if they would be, so willing to be jumping into that barrel so quick.
Yeah.
But, I think your point is valid. It's, if this show, comes out here in a couple of weeks in Japan and it's getting, crazy buzz, and, the official Pokemon accounts are picking it up and talking about it and stuff, it might be worth the demand to be like, let's try to turn this around and get it out, quick, and let's maybe try to grab the first episode and put it up on YouTube translated, and see if we can work behind the scenes, that kind of thing.
And I mean, by the time this episode goes out, I believe because the episode drops we're recording this October 7th. This episode literally drops in 12 days. So by the time you hear this, at least on the free feed, the show's going to be out and people are going to be judging it. For right now, we just watched the trailer, which dropped 2 days ago, I might add, but it is nowhere to be seen on YouTube,
Right.
which is weird. I have never, probably since I was a teenager, not known a trailer to drop somewhere and not have it upload to YouTube.
Especially in today's, world where sometimes trailers premiere on YouTube.
Yeah.
Forget, you know, having to watch TV for it. I mean,
So, let's get off of that real quick. We are going to get into the episode, but no real update yet. But as of this recording, the new Detective Pikachu game has come out, which we'll talk a little bit more once I get my hands on the game and I get to play it. So I'll probably play that for the next Poke Break, so I can give some hands-on thoughts on the game. And yeah, it's out, and I've been so busy that I mean, I literally blinked and I missed it. So I had no idea until I got onto my computer today, and that was the top story because the analytics or whatever you want to call it for my computer for my search history, that was the first thing that popped up when I turned on Google. Shut the hell up, bro. Nobody was even going there. Why do you gotta laugh? And now that's not funny. It is.
oh, it's hilarious. I beg to differ.
So whatever algorithm there is on my laptop, that was the first story that I saw when I turned on Google. And Google's like, hey, Pokemon Detective Pikachu came out yesterday, which would which would be somewhat promisable. I thought it came out today because I opened up Pokemon Go yesterday or the day before, and they have Detective Pikachu in the Pokemon Go game for you to be able to catch. And
Oh,
yeah,
with little hat and everything?
yeah, with the hat and the magnifying glass.
Oh, look at that shit.
Yeah. So I have like 5 or 6 of them. So it's pretty cool. And then they have a Slowpoke with a detective hat. That's along for the event too. So that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty neat. I'm not gonna lie.
And if I'm lucky during this event, I'm not sure how long it lasts, but I did hear that I can get a shiny version of the Detective Pikachu, and they made this event Pikachu able to evolve into a Detective Raichu in this.
Oh,
Yeah. So I went ahead and evolved one of my Detective Pikachus into a Detective Raichu, and I got both. So it's pretty cool.
there you go.
Pretty exciting. I have an event in my Pokemon game like right now, so I'm gonna share it with everyone because I'm a little frustrated because I don't want to spend my vacation doing this, but there's literally, so they're giving everyone the opportunity of getting a second Master Ball in Pokemon Go. But they're giving us like, I think they gave us like 75 days. We're down to like 45 or something like that. But I wasn't playing Pokemon Go for a couple weeks, so I fell behind a little bit, but I'm catching up.
Right.
And they have all these tasks, and you have to complete every single one in order to get the Master Ball at the end. So I'm going to go ahead. I've already completed a few of them. Actually, I'm not even going to power my game on real quick. I'll tell everyone Pokemon Go second Master Ball. There we go. All right. Let's do. You can have 2 Master Balls. There we go. Right here. So I'm gonna pull this up so I can tell you what the tasks in the game are, because the tasks are making me bang my head up against the wall, and I know that's not a good thing, but it really is making me do it. Okay, here we go. Master Ball research added. Da, da, da. You know what? That's not it. Where's the list, people? That should be on like Polygon. Let's see. Polygon Pokemon Go. There we go. How to get a Master Ball in Pokeball Go. Best use. Here we go. All right. The current quest and how to get it. All right, here it is. Timed Master Ball event. All right. Okay, so they gave 81 days, so I'm way behind the ball. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to read to you what these tasks are. Let me see. This is really making me mad. Let's see. Let's go special research. This is what I want. No, that's not it. It can't be this hard, because I don't want to read off of my list because I've already completed some of them, but I'll just tell you what I have left. All right, so in mine, so it's catch 1,000 Pokemon. I'm at 430. Win 60 raids. I'm at 5. Hatch 30 eggs. I'm at 12. Catch 100 different species of Pokemon, which means after you catch one, you can't catch it again. It doesn't count. But I'm at 97 of 100, so I'm almost there.
Yeah, you're gonna get that.
Make 120 excellent throws. I'm at 38. Complete 150 field research tasks. I'm at 36. Spend 300 Pokestops. I'm at 172. And then I've already completed, which is blacked out already, 3 of these. So 3 of these I've already done, which I couldn't tell you for the life of you what they were, because for whatever reason, nobody has posted what these tasks are. For whatever reason, I literally Googled it and nobody had it. Does this Reddit post have it? Because I wonder if this is it. Is this it? No, that's a Japanese post. Okay, never mind. All right, so I don't have that, but that's what I have left. So I mean, I'm going to Disney a week from today, or a week from yesterday, and I'm bringing my Pokemon Go Plus. So I have no doubt in my mind that I'm going to end up hatching the rest of my eggs out there. I have no doubt that I'm going to catch the rest of my Pokemon, because as I'm walking, it's just going to auto catch for me. So I know,
right.
And then I know that there's some Florida Pokemon that you can't get out here in Illinois. So I know I'm going to easily get those last 3 for the species if I don't get it before I leave. And then the excellent throws and all of that. I mean, what else am I to do but play a little bit of Pokemon while I'm waiting in some of these long Disney lines for these rides, right? So
for real.
So I'm hoping to go into some raids, and that's what I'm hoping to do, because but yeah, I got up to 38 because I went into a few different raids, and when I went into the raids to catch these Pokemon, they're a little harder, but I'm really good at my excellent throws when it comes to catching these Pokemon. So I got up to 38 in just 2 days. I got up to 36 field research done in about 3 days. So I don't think it's going to be super hard for me to complete some of these. I think the one that I'm going to have the most trouble with is to win 60 raids, because I only have 5.
Right.
So, I have 45 days left to complete this. So I will be giving everyone a weekly update as to how far I am in this research. Which the next time that we record is probably, I mean, it's only a few days away because we have Grant coming back on to do another episode with us. So I'm sure I won't be too much further, but I'll give an update. I'll go ahead and do it because I think he did tell us that he plays Pokemon Go, right? I believe so.
I know he plays the Pikmin mobile, but I'm sure he's at least dabbled in Pokemon Go.
Yeah. So we'll touch base with him on next week's show. But yeah, it's that's where I'm at. And I'm gonna get down to the wire, and I swear to you, if I get down to just a few like I'm like right there, I'm gonna be so mad if this event ends and I do not get this second Master Ball. I'm going to be so mad because I'm grinding so hard to get this Master Ball.
45 days is a lot of time. I mean, yeah, I know, I understand you're going on vacation for a week, but I think you'll be all right.
Yeah. And I think me going out to Florida, because literally, like, you know what? Just for shits and giggles, because I know you haven't seen the map. Type in your computer, Doug. Type in Pokemon Go at Disney World, and look at how that map is. So if I'm going to Disney World and I can't fucking complete this shit while I'm out there, and I'm gonna be out there for an entire week, there is something wrong with me. Unless I just don't play because I'm busy on vacation with my kids, which is a logical reason. But I still think if I have the auto catch in my pocket, that it shouldn't be an issue.
I think it's funny. The first thing comes up when you Google Pokemon Go at Disney World. It's a Reddit post. It's like, no Pokemon Go at Disney World?
What? Did they take it away? Yeah, I see that too.
Yeah, from, well, this is January 3rd.
Oh, oh God. Let's find out. I might not be playing Pokemon Go.
Honey, the vacation's canceled.
Fuck this vacation. If I can't play Pokemon Go, I don't want at Disney World. I don't want to go to Disney World no more. Oh man. Does Disney World have Pokestops? Let's see. Pokemon Go at Walt Disney World. Let's see how. Where to find? I don't like that. This is not a. Oh, you know what? Let's just go to. I'm gonna go to images. Okay. According to this, there's a shit ton, and my thing my thing will probably lose battery, so I will have to make sure to charge this sucker. So, yeah.
Well, it goes without saying.
So I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna make sure I have a shit ton of Pokeballs that's gonna run through like crazy. I'm gonna make sure I have a lot of slots for Pokemon, and I'm gonna have fun because this map looks freaking amazing. It looks like every like 3 steps, I'll be able to do something at Disney World and spin a Pokestop. So, yeah, this should be fun. Oh, I think one of the tasks was spin 300 Pokes. Oh, I think that is one of my things. No.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah. Spin 300 Pokestops. So yeah, I'm at 172. So yeah, I'll get there. I'll get there.
Yeah, you'll be all right. You'll be all right. I have faith in you, if nothing else.
Yeah. So, but are you ready to get on into this episode, bro?
I am ready.
I am too, because this was an episode, everybody. So today we are doing episode 1146, titled When a House is Not a Home, or translated from Japanese, Lost Sarunori? Who is the trainer? which premiered in Japan on March 12th, 2021, and came here in a batch of episodes on Netflix on September 10th, everybody. And then no need in going into the synopsis of this episode because we're literally going to go through it for you. So I went ahead and clicked the play button, bro. Let's go on into this episode. So we start this episode like we start each one. We're back to the intro with Ash and Go talking about what their goals are. And it's really funny. So we start this episode off and we're looking into Go's room, which I just want to say this. Go has expensive taste in his dreams because his room does not look like this. Like, you literally start off with a computer that has 6 screens. 6 screens I am looking at here. And we pan over and it's nighttime and Go is sleeping in his bed. And you hear, Rilla, 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 boom. And then Go is like, who is that? And he looks up. And you see it, Rilla, Rilla, boom, boom, Rilla, Rilla, boom. And Go looks over and he's like, no way. And he's running out of his room. He's like, it can't be. What's a Rilla boom doing in my house? And you hear, Rilla, Rilla, boom. Rilla, boom. Ah. And Go's like, what? Another one? And Rillaboom just walks over to him trying to be all friendly. And he's like, Rilla, 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 boom, boom. I'm going to have fun saying that during this part because this is the only part that has Rillaboom in it. But Rillaboom looks down on Go's wrist, and right on Go's wrist is a sleeping Grokey. And he's like, what? And he wakes up and he jumps out of his bed. He's like, oh my God, what's going on? He's like, man, it was just a dream. He's like, man, that was scary. And then he looks down and on his wrist, just like in his dream, he has a sleeping Grokey just right on his wrist. And Go is like, ah! And we jump straight from that right into the theme song. So, bro, I'm going to hand this off to you now because right after that, right after the intro, we get Pikachu's thing, and then we're back into Go's room.
So we're back into the episode, and Ash and Pikachu pop up from the bunk below Go, and they're like, Pikachu's asleep and Ash is essentially asleep, and he's like, what's wrong? Except, he's, half out of it. And like his eyes aren't even open. And like as soon as they see the Grokey on Go's wrist, they like snap to awake immediately. And they're like, it's a Pokemon. And Go's sitting there, he's like smacking himself on the cheek, trying to like wake himself up. And Ash pulls out his Rotom phone, and we find out that Grokey is a chimp Pokemon.
Grokey, the chimp Pokemon, a grass type. Grokey attacks by beating with a stick. As the speed of its beats increases, Grokey's excitement does too.
Hey, it looks like that Grokey's a Pokemon from the Galar region. You know what? I had a nightmare about Rillaboom. Rillaboom?
Rillaboom, Grokey's final evolved form.
Aw, it was just a dream. So tell me how the Grokey got here.
It was here when I woke up.
Wow, lucky!
I'll ask you because it's not addressed. What's in the middle?
A thwacky. So,
well, it kind of makes sense because Grokey thwacks people with the stick.
Yeah. Say thwack again.
No. I think there's a bit, and I'm not. Um, so, and funnily enough, and that's not a word, we don't really get a description of Rillaboom. It's just like, oh, Rillaboom is the final evolutionary stage. Like it doesn't go in. But I guess that's because we don't really encounter one. Um, so Ash puts his phone down. He's like, oh, it was just a dream, which is easy to say when it doesn't happen to you.
Yeah.
And so Ash is like, well, okay, very in the lead. How did they get here in the first place? And goes sitting there. He's like, it was literally here when I woke up 5 seconds ago. What do you want from me? And Ash is like, oh, I got a Pokemon. And he calls him Lucky. And Pikachu is like, fuck this. I'm gonna do what this Grokey's doing. I'm gonna go back to sleep. And it curls up on Ash's wrist. And goes sitting there. He's like, well, now that I know that I'm awake and this isn't still part of the dream, he's like, I might have lucked out here. I'm
gonna catch
I'm
you.
such a good Pokemon collector. They're finding me in my sleep. And
I mean, shit, that's what I would think too.
so he gets down and he's on tiptoe and he goes over to his desk and he picks up a Pokeball. And, he's like, Pokeball, go. He's also because he doesn't want to wake up the Grokey because, he's he fancies himself a hunter. And it's the Pokeball
But
on Grokey's head.
Wouldn't you be upset if you were a Pokemon and you were sleeping and this person just tried to sneakily catch you and you just wake up inside of a Pokeball?
I would be shocked to say the least.
Yeah.
But I would, I mean, if you come across a Pokemon in the wild and it's asleep, why wouldn't you try to catch it? I mean, that, you're minimizing attack, you're minimizing wear and tear on your Pokemon to catch it, or you could just be like Ash and try to hit a Spearow with a rock.
That's never going to get old.
Or try to catch a Pidgey with your jacket.
Yeah.
God, he was really. I mean, he's still stupid, but he was really dumb.
Yeah, he was.
So he goes to catch the Grokey, and his Rotom phone is like, "Hey, knock it off! That doesn't belong to you."
It does not belong to you. Don't be a thief. A thief? So that must mean someone else caught that Grokey before you did.
Yeah, you're right. Bummer.
But whose Pokemon is it?
Goes kind of sitting there, and he's like, "Rats! I kind of figured it wasn't going to be that easy." Like, yeah, that's a real bummer. And so they're like, "Well, whose Pokemon is it?" I mean, if we knew that, we wouldn't have a fucking episode. And then the Grokey slowly starts to open its eyes, and Grokey's up at go, and he's like, "Ah, new person." And he takes out the stick that's in his hair, and he starts kind of, hitting him. I'm not going to say it again because I don't know what the bit is, but I don't appreciate it. And like, this is a new head to hit, and he's just like pounding on Go and Ash, and he jumps on Pikachu, and Pikachu doesn't appreciate it. And Mr. Mime, opens the door, and they're like, "Oh, good morning, Mimey," and Grokey leaps over Mr. Mime's head. You think he's going to go out the door. He bounces off the wall, and then he comes back towards Mr. Mime, and then we find out that Mr. Mime is using
Reflect.
Like Mr. Mime is clearly using an attack, but it's just not identified.
Yeah.
And like I mean, everybody's seen a mime, whether it's in person or just on TV, when they do the I'm trapped in a box thing.
Yep.
And Mr. Mime was basically doing that. And Grokey kind of wears itself out. And Go kind of looks, and because you can hear Grokey's stomach start to rumble. And
he's like, oh, he must
Go's
be
like,
hungry.
And he's like, he's just like you, Ash. And Ash is like, well, since we're awake and it's time for breakfast, we might as well go get breakfast. And we cut to Grokey absolutely chowing down on some Pokemon food, and Go's sitting there. He's like, he must have been starving. And Ash is like, oh, you bet. And he's like, that's why I like breakfast even more than dinner. And Go's like, I wasn't talking to you. And he's like, I was talking to Grokey. And we see Grokey completely cleans his bowl.
Yes.
And he kind of looks over at Pikachu like, you going to finish that? He's like, hell yeah, I'm going to finish it. And he kind of scoots his bowl. And Grokey's like, finish this. And he smacks his bowl with his stick. And obviously the kibble goes everywhere. And Grokey gets a bowl, and he's knocking Ash and Go's food around. And he's jumping, and he's hitting on the toaster, and he's tucked himself in a drawer, and they can't find him. And he's like, where did he go? And
he's just hiding.
Go opens a cabinet under the sink, and we see Sobble is kind of hanging out with the pots and pans, and he gets nervous, and he makes himself invisible. And Go's like, what in the world were you doing in there?
He was just sleeping.
And yeah, he was just chilling. He wasn't bothering anybody. And Grokey pops out of a box and takes off, and then we see Chloe getting ready and saying goodbye to the professor.
TaxAct knows small business owners can sometimes use a little help with their taxes. That's why TaxAct has Expert Assist, a team of live tax experts ready to answer any questions you may have. Think of them as your own personal sidekick. Not like one of those funny talking animal sidekicks, more like the super smart nerding out on tax code and business casual attire sidekick, but just as helpful and lovable. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
So, yep.
And
so, so they're saying goodbye. Give me 1 second here, and then Grokey jumps over and just jumps right on top of Chloe's head and just starts beating her on the head. And she's like, what is this thing? And then Eevee is like, get off of Chloe. And then Grokey's like, oh, a dog. And just jumps over and gets on top of Eevee and just starts beating the mess out of Eevee. And Pikachu is trying to catch it. And and then it misses, and Grokey jumps up onto the stairway, and the professor, Chloe, the assistants, Go, and Ash, they're looking over at Grokey, and the professor is assistant is like, that's called a Grokey, but why is it here?
That's called a Grokey.
But why is it here?
We'll explain later. For now, let's just catch it. Yep. Uh-oh. No, don't!
They both thundershock everyone but Grokey. And we cut to Grokey is now back asleep. And it seems like Go has gone through the whole spiel of how Grokey got into the house. And he's like, well, I don't know how he got into the house. I just woke up and he was there. And they're like, man, and it's not even Wild. It's somebody's partner. And the assistant is like, man, sometimes the weirdest things just happen to you, Go. Maybe it's just one of Gengar's pranks. And Gengar just pops up and he's like, is it one of my pranks? And it's like, I don't think so. And the assistant is like, oh my gosh, Gengar is behind me. You would think, just being one of the assistants, that you wouldn't be scared of Gengar knowing that Gengar lives there. But Gengar just loves terrifying the assistant in this show. It's just hilarious.
Well, that's all well and good when you don't know the thing can just pop up behind you, though. That's ridiculous.
But you know Gengar isn't going to do anything. He's just there to have fun. But I would stop paying it mind. And well, I guess Gengar might get depressed at that point. So, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, see, you don't want to upset the guy's feeling. Or Ghost.
And the assistant just yells back at Gengar, I'm sorry for doubting you, Gengar. I'm so sorry. And Gengar just invisibly goes away. And he's like, oh, man. And Go is like, he's like, anyway, we still don't know where Grokey came from, do we? And they're like, yeah, you're right. If it has a partner, they'll definitely be worried about it by now. So, and let's see. And the professor's wife did a nationwide search within like the city parameters. And we see that there are some missing Pokemon, but it's not Grokey. She's like, Grokey is not one of the missing Pokemon. She's like, yeah, nobody's reported this Grokey lost. And Go's like,
I just did an online search, and there's nothing about a Grokey being lost. Now what'll we do? Of course, it's Yamper! If we use Yamper's sensitive nose and trace Grokey's scent, maybe we'll learn where it came from!
Yeah, nice idea!
If all goes well, we'll be able to return Grokey to its partner.
Right! Hey, Yamper, you can do it!
Yamper, we can use its sensitive nose to trace Grokey's scent. Try saying that 10 times fast.
Yeah, no shit.
And Ash is like, yeah, that's a great idea. So it's from this point that the professor comes over and is like, yeah, you know what? Yamper can't do it. And Go gets up and he's like, Yamper, are you ready? You think you can do it? And Grokey and Yamper is like, sure. I don't think he's like, yeah, he has that dog face where he's like, I like that you guys are talking about me, but I have no idea what you're saying. So it's at this point that Ash is like, man, first we got to find out how Grokey even got into the room. And Yamper sniffs Grokey and he starts sniffing around and he starts running. And they're following Yamper all the way down the hall. And Yamper is going up the stairs of the lab. And then there's a door all the way on top that was left open. And Yamper runs around and we find ourselves on top of the roof of the lab. And Go looks over the edge and he's like, I think it came from way up here. And they're like, huh? And then Yamper goes off to the side and just starts barking. And they're like, you know what? I think it came from down there. And they're like, we're all the way back up here. So we literally shoot down and they're walking the streets. And Yamper is using its scent to walk around and to sniff out where Grokey came from. And that's where we come to a gate. And Doug, I'm going to switch this on over to you, my brother.
Yes, because as they stop, this is when Yamper stops and he starts barking, like at the gate, like at the wall, and they're kind of like, "Is this the place? Is this where the scent ends, Yamper?" And Grokey jumps out of Go's arms and onto the ledge, and he goes, down the wall, and Ash and Go are kind of like, well, maybe whoever's inside is this Grokey's partner. So they go and they hit the doorbell, and they're like, excuse us, we've got some questions, we'd like to ask you about a Grokey, and all of a sudden we see some rustling in the trees behind the wall, and out of the treetops, well, not like literally out of the treetops, because I don't think a Do Trio could get up in a tree, but Grokey,
I think a Do Trio can get up into a tree.
I don't know if they fly.
You know what? I think, didn't they fly in red and blue? I'm pretty sure you could fly a Do Trio from city to city. But I might be wrong. But I'm almost positive.
You would think just by looking at him, Do Duo and Do Trio would be flightless, kind of like an ostrich.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But it's a video game.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, a Do Trio jumps over the wall, and we see that Grokey is on Do Trio's back, hitting it with its stick, and the Do Trio takes off, and I mean, it hauls ass, but we apparently don't have time for that foolishness, because we do a hard cut, and we see that the Do Trio is back with the owner, and you kind of get a look at Ash and Go, and they're exhausted because, I mean, we didn't see how far they chased the Do Trio, but we are led to believe that there was a chase. And Grokey is having the time of its life. Like, I was on a big bird, and I was hitting it with my stick, and I'm just, this is awesome. And and then we're pardon me, we're still on the hunt, and then we see that Yamper has stopped at the entrance of what looks to be a park, and Grokey's like, "Ha!" and he takes off.
He's like, "Oh,
and
a playground."
And we see a woman walking with her Marowak, and they're like, "Oh, this is a peaceful walk." And all of a sudden, freaking Grokey jumps up and hits Marowak in the head with his stick. And Marowak's looking around, and Grokey's kind of like, "I got a stick, and I hit you in the head with it. I got it." And, and Marowak's like, "I got a bigger stick, and I can I can crush you." And Marowak swings it. I mean, not at full power, but he swings his bone, and Grokey's like, "I'm going to stop it." And he jumps up, and they kind of have like a lightsaber duel, basically. And the woman's kind of sitting there like, "Come on, Marowak, no fighting." And then we turn our attention back to the fight, and we see that it's a full-on scrap now, like the stereotypical cartoon, ball of dust. And we see, Marowak's bone, and we see Grokey's stick, and Ash and Go approach the brawl, and Go's like, "Knock that off, Grokey. What do you quit that?" And once again, we see the aftermath of the fight, because the woman and her Marowak are walking away, and Ash and Go are standing there with their hands on their knees, going, "This is bullshit." Just to try to, and and then we pan down to Go's foot, and Grokey is leaning on Go's foot, sound asleep, holding its stick, like, I'm going to be ready just in case, but I'm tired. And then
being a baby is hard work.
I'm saying, especially when you've got a stick and you're feisty.
Yep.
And then, come to find out that Grokey was hungry again, and Go's kind of sitting there, and he's like, you're scarfing down this food. It must taste great. And once again, we play the bit of Ash not understanding, and he goes, "You bet. That's why I like lunch more than I like dinner." And Go kind of turns, and he's like, "I was talking to Grokey just like at breakfast." And we see the Pikachu and Yamper and Grokey are kind of sitting there eating out of their food bowls. He gets on top of like a flower bed, and looks like he's trying to get someone's attention or something's attention. And he takes the stick out of his hair and he bangs it on the bricks that are kind of the border of this flower garden. And we see that the vibrations of Grokey's stick hitting the side of the planter kind of bring the flowers back to life. And they're kind of like, oh, maybe Grokey's not such a pain in the ass. And Go's like, yeah, that's all well and good, but it's still just playing around. And Grokey jumps on Go and hits him with his stick a couple times, and then we cut, and once again Grokey is passed out, and then we see that Yamper is stopped in front of a giant Pokeball, and he's sniffing and barking, and he's doing circles like I've found something, and
just like a dog. Oh my gosh! Look, the thing! Look, it's the thing.
And Ash kind of looks around.
Come on, you know what that's from, right?
The thing.
The thing. It's the thing. Dexter's laboratory, from when he gets the dog in his lab, so he has the dog eat one of those chips so he can understand the dog, because the dog was barking at him. And then when the dog finally talks, he runs Dexter over to one of the machines, and he's like, what is it? And he's like, this is the thing. And Dexter's like, yeah, what about it? He's like, it's the thing, it's here, it's the thing. Why is it here?
Oh no, I didn't have that. I thought maybe you were talking about the dog from Up.
Oh. No, I'm sorry. That's an old school reference, and I know most of our listeners are probably like, what the hell is Dexter's Laboratory? It's an old show from back in the 90s that was on Cartoon Network and one of the flagship shows, and it was great.
It was peak Cartoon Network.
Yes. So,
like Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, Ed, Edd and Eddy, Codename Kids Next Door, all that stuff. Look it up when you're done with the podcast.
Yes.
You'll hours of entertainment.
Shout out to What a Cartoon. If you look up one of their podcasts, and they reviewed Dexter's Laboratory along with a lot of other shows from the 90s. So if you want some great entertainment, shout out to them. Free plug.
Yeah. A fantastic use of $10 if you've got it to spare.
Yes.
So Ash is kind of looking around, and he's like, it looks like the scent, vanishes right about here. And they're kind of looking around, and they're like, And they pan up, and it's like a Pokestop, or not a Pokestop. You got a freaking Pokemart. And he's like, well, we could look at the security recordings, and if you would like, and maybe we could find some answers. And they're kind of Ash can go, and
these are some smart kids for once. I'm just saying.
Well, they're smart when they need to be.
when the owners of Pokemon are like, okay, they can't be dumb this episode.
Yes, they can be dumb next week, but this week they got to be able to do something.
Yes.
So they're looking at the footage, and all of a sudden, in the top left-hand corner of the screen, something drops, and they kind of zoom in, and they're like, it's Team Rockets. And all of a sudden we see like the image of something coming out of a Pokeball, and we see Grokey, and then we see the Pelipper is kind of looking around, and he kind of does a quick swoop, but he doesn't see the Grokey that got away, and goes like, it can't be.
Children's Dimetapp knows the sick day struggle is real. But it doesn't have to be. When sickness strikes, Children's Dimetapp works safely and quickly to relieve cough and other cold symptoms. And your kiddos won't run from its yuck-free sweet grape flavor. Trusted by parents for over 50 years. Children's Dimetapp, your stress-less sick day solution. Use as directed.
Introducing Le Sel d'Issei, the new fragrance for men by Issey Miyake. A tribute to today's masculinity that gives men the desire to live intensely. A fragrance inspired by salt, an essential element of nature. An incisive freshness with a bold blend of woody and marine notes. Awaken your senses. Le Sel d'Issei by Issey Miyake. Available at Macy's.
It can't be! So Grokey!
It's Team Rocket's Pokemon! Grokey!
And that's about the time we get the Who's That Pokemon, and thankfully it's Grokey. And
what would you have done if it wasn't Grokey this week?
I mean, the only other one that it could have been would have been Rillaboom. But I wouldn't say.
What if it was Slowpoke?
I'd quit the show.
No, you wouldn't.
I'd quit. I'd be like, it
makes no sense.
Had an open goal, and it deliberately chose to go the other direction. So they're outside of the Pokemart, and Go is kind of trying to have this heart-to-heart with Grokey. He's like, are you really a member of Team Rocket?
Yes.
And Grokey kind of turns his head and like, I'm not going to tell you. And he runs, he jumps out of Go's arms, and he kind of goes behind Pikachu. And Go's like, oh my gosh, no, we're not mad at you or anything.
Poor Grokey.
And Go was just about to explain himself, and all of a sudden, one of those telltale Team Rocket nets comes out of the sky and grabs both Grokey and Pikachu. And Go and Ash are looking up, and we see on the ledge above them,
Team Rocket.
We see the silhouettes of Jesse, James, Meowth, and Wobbuffet.
Who's there? Prepare for trouble. You should know that by now.
And make it double. We deserve a big bow.
To protect the world from devastation.
To unite all people within our nation.
To denounce the evils of truth and love.
To extend our reach to the stars above.
Jesse
and James.
Team Rocket blasts off at the speed of light.
Surrender now or prepare for a skyscraping fight. That's
And they're like, we're going to grab Pikachu alongside a rare Galar Pokemon. So
they don't even know that it's their Pokemon.
Yeah, they're that slow. They're like, oh, we did our inventory and we're short one Grokey.
So, and Meowth is like, we're going to get it. It's going to be a 2-for-1. And Ash is like, oh, no, you don't. And he throws out Farfetch. And he's like, Farfetch, release them. So Farfetch comes out, uses its leak to cut the net around Pikachu and Grokey. Grokey sitting here and he's like, what the hell is going on here? And Ash is like, Brutal Swing. And Farfetch does Brutal Swing and pushes back Team Rocket. And Jesse is like, we'll see about that. And they both put their arms up and they're like, come on down. And Pelipper goes and drops the Team Rocket machine, which looks a lot bigger than it needed to be inside of Pelipper's mouth. I'm just going to say, because the thing is as tall as Jesse and James. I don't see how it fit that thing in its mouth. And I don't want to know. Doug, no jokes. And it's at this point, Meowth jumps in to use its coin. They twist the knob and...
Oh, I can tell you, not to cut you off, but I can tell you how it fit.
How?
The legs folded in on itself.
Oh. And it just goes and gobbles it up?
So the legs don't expand until it's out and about to land on, I would assume, a solid surface.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And
since you wouldn't let me use my smart-ass answer.
No, it's not that kind of podcast, Doug.
Oh, since when?
Since I edited out of every single podcast that we do.
Oh.
People are like, wait,
well, you're no fun at all.
I know. They're like, we want the fun podcast. No. You don't want to know what we talk about on the bad version. Okay.
On the bad version.
So out comes one Pokeball and James is like, wait a minute. Just one Pokeball this time? And Meowth is like, yeah, you only get one twist out of me this week. And Jesse's like, all right, this is all we need. A super duper Pokemon. And throws the Pokeball and there's no Pokeball or there's no Pokemon that comes out. And they gasp and they're like, oh, it's empty. And then all of a sudden, a little, what looks like one of those things that you put into a fortune cookie, like one of those little notes, but it's a Team Rocket one. And it's like, Grokey, the chimp Pokemon. And they're like, a chimp Pokemon? Wait a minute. That's a Grokey. And Jesse's like, wait a minute. Let's get real here. You want me to believe that this is Grokey's Pokeball? So if I said, Grokey, return, the Pokeball would scoop it right up and I would be holding it right in here. And she's like, oh my gosh, I am. And they're like, Grokey. And they're like, I think it's time to pull back. Eat my dust. Meowth goes and he throws down a smoke bomb. And they're like, wait, where did Grokey go? And then Go looks down and they find out that Grokey dropped its stick. And they bring Grokey back to the Team Rocket lair. And they're like, talk about a plot twist out of nowhere. This is cool that this is our Grokey. And Grokey's just sitting on the pool table. And he's like, I don't want to be here. And Team Rocket's not even looking at the Grokey. He's going over and starts playing with some toys. And James is like, no, that's more pack goals. And it throws the banana. It starts throwing out all of the toys, and they're like, "Wait, will you stop being such a pain?" And then all of a sudden, Morpeko comes out, and they're like, "Wait a minute, no, we're innocent," and it's the bad version of Morpeko, not the nice version. So they're like, "Oh no, we told you!" And Morpeko goes over and just starts attacking Team Rocket, and Grokey's like, you know what? I miss Go and Ash. And we get some sad music playing in the background, and then we jump right back over to Go. And Doug, I'm going to switch this over to you.
And he's kind of laying there, and he's looking at Grokey's stick, and we see that Ash was trying to get his attention, and he's like, "Hey, can I turn off the lights? We kind of had a busy day." And Go's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead for sure." And he turns the light off, and Go's kind of sitting there, and he's holding Grokey's stick, and he's kind of rubbing his arm where Grokey would sleep, kind of like a phantom pain kind of thing. And we hear Ash's voice go, "You're thinking about Grokey, huh?" Goes like, "Yeah, my forearm feels empty." And Ash is like, "Grokey sure was fun, and goes like, "Yeah." And
he really was.
And it was like, who would have thought, Grokey belonged to Team Rocket? And Ash is kind of sitting there. He's like, I wonder if he's still having fun. Go kind of rolls over, and then we pan up to the sky, and we see the moon, and then we see Grokey's kind of looking out, and he's kind of like, they're asleep. And then we see, Team Rocket's kind of passed out sleeping, and Grokey's trying to kind of find a way out of the lair, and it looks like he found an escape hatch, because his eyes light up, and then he disappears behind a corner. We don't see him.
Yep.
And then the next morning,
he's out of there.
He's gone. He's freaking adios. And the next morning, we see Go and Yamper, and then we hear Ash, trying to catch up with him. He's like, "You're not going to eat breakfast?" And Go holds up Grokey's stick, and he's like, "I was hoping I could at least give this back to Grokey." Ash is like, "Well, that's all well and good, but you don't know where Team Rocket is." And Go's like, "Well, I'll just have to track them down. I've got 4 minutes. I've got to do something." He didn't say that.
That's what Doug said.
And he's like, "That's why I brought Yamper, because it works so well to get Grokey sent and all that stuff." And Ash is like, "Well, I'll come with you." And then Go turns his little phrase back on him, and he's like, "I thought you loved breakfast more than dinner." And Ash is like, "Well, you see, but I got, and he holds up like, granola bars kind of thing. He's like, "I got my breakfast right here." And then we pan, well, why not make food in bar form if not for that exact purpose? And then we do a quick cut back to the Team Rocket lair, and they are turning the place upside down because Grokey is gone. Yes. And they're kind of, Jesse's panicking
And they're looking all around the lab.
And James is being a wise ass. And, Meowth's like, if they realize that we lost a Pokemon, they're gonna lose us. And Boba Fett's like, I'm too pretty to be out of a job. And um, Jesse has a nice line of, we'll find him. We're not gonna leave any stone left unturned. And James pops up and goes, but it's a grass type.
and that's when they get up and they leave the lab in search of Grokey.
And then we pan back over and we see Yamper once again hot on the trail. And Ash is kind of like, it's funny. Team Rocket shows up all the time when we don't want them. But the one time we actually want to find them,
we can't find them.
They're gone. And, they disappear. And they're looking, and then all of a sudden, Yamper stops in front of the park from the day before. And Yamper's like, I was here before and I had a good time. And then they go to the same flower bed that Grokey woke up, and he's kind of looking, and Ash catches up, and they pan over, and all of a sudden, who pops out of the flower bed? Then that very same Grokey.
Yes.
And Grokey and Go have a moment. They hug. Grokey jumps into his arms. Ash is like, thank goodness he's safe. It's a nice moment. Go hands Grokey back his stick. And then who should be standing right above them but Team Rocket? And Jesse's like, thank you for the return.
And she's like, but we want Grokey back. And then she's like, we'll get straight to the point. Grokey, return. And you just see Grokey with its stick. And she says, come to Auntie Jessie. And then Meowth is like, no, it's playing hard to get. And
you can complain all you want, but as long as I have your Pokeball.
You belong to Team Rocket!
Grokey goes over and just smacks the Pokeball, and Lily smacks the Pokeball in half. And
flimsy Pokeball.
I know, for real. I mean, it is a Team Rocket Pokeball, so it's not an authentic Pokeball.
That's true.
So, but yeah, Grokey goes and breaks the Pokeball, which means that Grokey can be caught. I get Bam Bam vibes from Grokey. Like, I think someone went and was watching the Flintstones and it's like, bam, bam. Because, I mean, that's literally what I notice every time that Grokey is using its stick. Don't you get those vibes?
Yeah, that's a clutch pull. I wasn't expecting that, but you're right, because, and I mean, obviously, let's not count the fact that all Pokemon can say are their own names, but I mean, that's another point in the column.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, you see how happy Grokey is when he's hitting somebody or something with his stick.
Yes, just like Bam Bam.
So I mean, yeah, I think you hit on to something.
And it's at this point that Ash kind of hints to Grokey going over with Go. And Go is like, you really want to come with me? And Jessie's like, you're not taking my Grokey. And she takes out another empty Team Rocket Pokeball. And she's like, I'm going to catch it. And Go's like, oh, no, you don't. And he throws his Pokeball. and they both go at the same time, but Grokey smacks Team Rocket's Pokeball, jumps up, and gets hit by Go's Pokeball, and Go is now the owner of Grokey. And let me add that other Team Rocket Pokeball went over and smacked Jessie straight in the face.
Second time, as far as I'm aware, she caught a Pokeball right in the face.
I know. So, and then Go lets Grokey out of its Pokeball, and he's like, Grokey! And they're like, what do we do now, Team Rocket? And they're like, it's time to snatch both Grokey and Pikachu. And Team Rocket pulls out a rocket, and Pikachu does Thunderbolt and shocks Team Rocket, and Team Rocket is blasting off again, and Team Rocket doesn't get to use its rocket because there's only a minute left in this episode. And it's at this point that Grokey runs over to Pikachu to thank it. It thanks Yamper, and Go and Yamper and Pikachu are all celebrating. And then we flash over into the garden at the professor's, where all the Pokemon are, and we're welcoming Grokey to the group. And they're like, it's already friends. Let's see if we can make friends with Eevee now too. Because remember, the last time Grokey and Eevee saw each other, Grokey jumped on top of Eevee and was hitting her. So this time Grokey is like, I'm so sorry that I hit you. And Eevee accepts the apology, and that's kind of it. Do you have anything else to add in this episode, bro?
No, I mean, this was a really fun episode. It kind of answered a few questions that kind of came up, like, because, you know, it kind of dealt with the whole, you know, what happens when you try to catch a Pokemon that's already claimed. Like, that's the first time, like, I've seen a Rotom phone be like, hey, you know, cut the shit, that's not yours. You know, and like I say, you know, at least he didn't go the Ash Ketchum route and try to throw a rock at it.
Yeah.
And you and I were talking, and I think this was before we hit the record button. And if it wasn't, you know, stop me because I don't want to chew my food twice. But we talked about the Charmander episode, you know, that classic episode in Kanto.
Yes.
When, you know, they find, you know, that poor Charmander on the rock in the rainstorm. And you kind of pointed out that it had to be established that Charmander's original partner didn't want it
anymore.
And at by the time it came back around and was like, hey, you healed up my Charmander for me, you know, thanks for doing the legwork. Charmander was like, no, you're a piece of shit. I'm going to go with this kid.
Ash is more fun.
And in the case of Grokey, its original Pokeball was literally broken.
Yes. So it couldn't go back to its owner.
Right. And I mean, we saw what happened when Jessie pulled out another one and tried to make the catch.
Yep.
Grokey went full Sammy Sosa and was like, nope. So yeah, I mean, and I know you didn't ask, but I'm trying to hedge you off. I would give this probably a 2.5. I would say the kind of rushed ending, I would say kind of lost at half a star. Like it was trending towards a 3. And then the last couple minutes was like, yeah, we have to wrap this episode up.
So you're giving it about 2.5? I
would say about 2.5. I mean, you know, Go caught a new Pokemon. There was a couple funny lines, you know, the whole, I like blank more than blank. And, you know, anytime we actually get to see like Yamper be a dog is kind of cool.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a solid 3. I do like this episode. It was nice watching this episode in English because my only memory of this episode was watching it in Japanese when it first aired. So it was cool. It was a nice episode, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, I'll give it a 3.
Okay.
So, but do you have anything else, Doug, before we sign off for the day?
No, I don't think so. You know, it's always a good time to get on and do an episode. And I know, obviously, you fine listeners won't feel this, but I believe the plan is to have a rather quick turnaround, try to get Grant on here in the next couple days, and then you're gonna vamoose off to Florida and family vacation hunting Pokemon.
Oh yeah, what a real father is supposed to do. Go and catch those Pokemon, or as parents that are not Pokemon fans like to say, I'm gonna go catch those Pokemon.
Those Pokemans.
I used to hate it when my dad would say that as a child. So, but all right, everybody. It is that time. So we are going to get on out of here and go ahead and say your goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Professor Chris G telling all of you we'll be back next week with another special episode featuring Grant, everybody. We hope you have a good night, and we'll see you next week.